All right, guys, today is an exciting day. We are on the last stage of pulling things apart. So today we're going to pull the FTE, the transmission and transfer out of the 100 chassis. And from here on in, it's putting stuff back together. So we'll get this out. I'm going to show you a few bits and pieces that I've bought, and then we'll get straight into the process of starting to make this all come together. Okay, guys, I think we're just about ready to go here. So I've undone the rear tail shaft, so it's out of the way, the front tail shaft. I've unbolted the exhaust where it bolts up to the turbo. Transmission mounts are undone. Engine mounts in here are undone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the 105 chassis around the other way. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to push it out far enough that we can get the engine crane in here. If this lifts up, we'll move the engine crane off to the side, roll the 100 chassis out into the yard, and bring the 105 one back in, and we can kiss this rusty hunk of junk goodbye. I'll do a quick walk around. I'm actually a bit scared. I was going to pressure wash it, but I think it's going to fall apart. You can hear that, that's hollow. There's issues, so we'll get that sorted and we'll have a look at what's left. All right, guys, we had a little bit of a change of plan. The engine crane was having a hard time lifting out the engine and gearbox together. So I've just cracked the engine off for now. You can see the old engine mounts there. Undid those, undid the bolts to the starter motor and the transmission, and that came out relatively easy. Cut over to the 105 now. Passenger side, very straightforward. We've got a new mount there, but the existing bracket works on the 1HD FTE. And if we come around to the other side, this is an important part of the swap. So you can see in there, that's the engine driver's leg, is what I've seen it referred to on most of the swaps. Now that's out of a 1HZ and you need that leg. The FTE one doesn't work. So again, we've got a new mount. I'm just about to lower that into place, but I thought before I did, I'd show you that. So the FTE, I don't know if you can see in there, there's a couple of threads. I'll circle those. That's where the old leg mounts to. And on this one, there's actually two bolts that hide. I don't think I can get the angle right. In behind the existing bracket, and they line up perfectly. So that's the 1HZ engine leg on. So I'm just gonna get that in place. It's seriously late. I'm cooked, I've probably overdone it a little bit, so we're gonna get that in, call it a day, and then next time, gearbox and transfer out, and we will crack on. Alrighty, guys, it's been a little while, but I'm back. There's been so much going on in my life. You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you all of it. So today, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of what's been going on, what the plans are for this in the near future. I'm gonna do a walk around on this. It obviously is looking very different to the last time that you guys would have seen it in my videos. I think last time we were pulling apart the 100. There's some stuff here that it just wasn't worth showing you guys. It was just the reverse stages of what we've already done. So pulling it all apart, it was just the reverse to put a lot of it back together. So yeah, what we're gonna do today is have a good look around this. There's three pretty cool things I've done that weren't part of the original plan, but it's just the way things have worked out. So I'm gonna show you what I've bought for the car. And just talk about my time on YouTube. I had a few people messaging me sort of saying, hey, when's the next video? So I thought just to be really clear on what I'm doing, I probably should have done this a couple months ago, but I've just had a lot on. So first things first, this isn't really any source of income for me doing YouTube videos. It wouldn't even make enough to pay the fuel bill for this guy. So I can't really make it my number one priority. I'd love to just make videos of this and my other cars and driving and all that sort of stuff, but it's just not realistic for me at the moment. So I do have my own business. I'm a builder. So through winter, my approach to work is I like to get as much done as I can in the winter, go hard, work 6 days a week, super long days, so that when we get to the warmer seasons, I have a lot more time off through spring and summer. Today we are 5 days into spring. So a lot of my winter projects have wrapped up. I'm starting to get that motion going of getting into that more relaxed space where I have time to work on this and do what I want to do. So this isn't my main source of income, YouTube. So that's why these videos are a bit sporadic. I do them because I love them. I'm not doing it to build a business or to make money. So it's just sort of, I do them when they suit me. I don't want to have to be stuck to a schedule or need to rely on the videos to make me money. So I have to keep this thing going. Let's just do it when I want to do it. So if you don't like that, then yeah, too bad, but it is what it is. So I guess the next reason I've been busy, I got married a couple of weeks ago. I'm super stoked with that. I'm very happy, but that obviously, in terms of planning and the day itself, that had to take first priority, and this sort of took a backseat to that. So it definitely slowed me down the last couple of months, but that's done now, which is super exciting. So just ready to keep going with this again. And last but not least, it's my good friend Kento. He came over from Japan. So the story with Kento is we met on the internet. I helped him import a 1HZ105 from Australia to Japan. They never got the 105 series in Japan, only 100s. He absolutely loves them. He's a Land Cruiser fanatic. So I gave him a hand doing that. And yeah, almost a month ago now, he had vacation time. I think he gets 2 weeks a year. He wanted to spend one of his weeks in Sydney, so he came and stayed with us for the week. And obviously that was priority over building this. So he came and had a look at this. He thought it was super cool. We went for some forward driving in the 1HZ, which he had never been forward driving, not in Australia either. So we went to the Wattigans and showed him some stuff that he'd seen on the internet, which he really loved. We went to Sydney, did all that sort of stuff. So whilst he was here, also nothing happened. So yeah, shout out to Kento. He's actually been a great help for me too. We were laughing how I bought a Land Cruiser from Japan to Australia. He did the opposite. And now we both have something super unique in our countries. We went and visited Kento pretty soon after he got his Land Cruiser in Japan. It's his daily driver. He showed us around Japan. He's a top bloke, so thank you, mate. I appreciate that. So I guess that gets all the distractions out of the way. So now let's have a look at the few things that I bought for this car. It's moving along pretty nicely. It's getting super close, so I'm sort of taking a bit more of a structured approach to it from here on in. I've got a notebook here. I'm going to make a list of things I need to do. I think the way to approach this is I want to get everything hooked up back together, be able to get this car driving. I'm going to drive it home, and then we'll start tackling all the small nitty-gritty jobs, just because this is a bit too far away from my house that if I get home from a full day of work, if I've got a spare couple of hours, it's too far to come, set up, do a little bit of work, pack up, go home. So once it's at home, it's much easier for me to shoot footage of it and sort of build it and put it all back together. So let's not mess around. I'll show you what we've got for it. I just want to take a minute to appreciate this beast. God, it's looking good. It's definitely going to be one of a kind. Let's have a quick look at that. So I kept the old TJM steel bar. We're going to modify that, change the shape a little bit as time allows, once we've got it all together, but that for me is very hard to beat. It's just looking stunning. So, the extra mods. Let's get straight into it. This guy here is a UFI 21L. So I've heard nothing but great things about these. They're meant to be awesome turbos. I wanted something that has a bit of future tunability and capability if we want to heat this up a little bit. We're just running standard injectors for now, but I think I'll go down the path of like an aftermarket ECU and maybe plus 30 injectors. I don't want this thing to be a race car that goes bang, but I'd love to have the power on tap, have the option, make full use of that FTE. So that was the first thing that I wasn't planning on doing just yet, but the opportunity came up, so I had to jump on it. Okay, so looking at the big old beast from this angle, the number 2 is obviously we've got no rear bar anymore. I definitely don't want a factory plastic bumper. It used to get pulled off the 1HZ all the time. So I've actually got in contact with someone who I met through a Land Cruiser group. He's custom building me something, so I'll probably do a whole separate episode on that. It's a super cool bit of kit. I think it worked out cheaper than a Cruiser company bar. And it looks spectacular. Like I've got it at my house now, it's just in raw steel. I've put it in etch primer. But that was another one that I wasn't planning on doing straight away, but he approached me and said, hey, what do you think of this? And I just couldn't help myself. I had to buy it. So yeah, that's the second thing that wasn't initially on the plans, but we're going to do it. And here's a gift from my mate Kento. There's maybe 50 105s, probably less, in all of Japan, and they have their own Land Cruiser 105 club. He's given me a sticker to the club. It's similar to the Japanese, I think it's the Japanese Automotive Federation sticker. They've sort of done a take on that, so super cool. Third bit is just here. I found an awesome set of wheels in Japan. They're wheels that I'm familiar with. I think they're unreal quality. They're nice and light, but very strong. And they just look spectacular, easy to clean. They tick all the boxes for me. So I'll give you a look at one of them. I bought them from someone online in Japan. They were in near new condition. And I think these are really going to set the build up. So they're a Bradley V, is what they're called. These are in a bronze metallic. The specs are 16 by 8, -15, so they're not going to be too aggressive, but I think they're just going to set it off beautifully. So you've got a set of 5, so you've got the spare as well. I'm just super keen for those. I wasn't really thinking about buying wheels and tyres. I was just going to run what we've got on there for now, but when I saw those, I just thought, nah. With the metallic against the pearl of the Land Cruiser, it's just going to look so good. So now I'll just walk you through what I've done so far. So we've got the loom back through. That was something I was really nervous about having to do, but it turned out to be super easy. It was literally just a matter of unplug, push through, push it back through, plug it back in. Started to hook up fuel lines. The engine's obviously bolted in now, the gearbox is bolted in. Probably the worst part of the job so far has been the steering box, steering shaft, all that sort of stuff. I've swapped everything over, but we've got like maybe 2 millimeters clearance between the steering shaft, where that collapsible section is, and the shock tower. So I think I'm going to have to look at that a little bit further and figure out a better way to do that. But for now, the steering works. It's just not ideal in my opinion. In terms of headache, and it's no fault of the manufacturers, it's just what it is when I did this swap. You can see under here, I've got the long range tank. That's a Long Ranger. So the beauty of this thing is, number one, we've got awesome clearance there. You can see it doesn't really use up any space there. I'm very happy with how that all mounted. But the issue is they make them for 105s or 100s. Your mounting points for your tanks are 100 series, because I've got the 100 body, but the tank location needs to suit the 105. So I bought the 105 kit so that the tank fits between the chassis rails, but then I've had to customize where they mount to suit the 100 series body. So that was very time consuming, and it's no fault of the guys who make them. It's just, it is what it is when you try and do custom stuff like this. But it's now in. I love that it keeps all the weight in between the diffs. You're not having anything hanging over the back. And it's the same capacity as a factory main and sub. So I've got the same amount of range as I would have had anyway. And it means I can mount a water tank or something in the back later, depending on how we go with this build. So other than that, it's all been pretty straightforward. It's just time in the game. Inside here now, we've got the steering wheel back in. It's getting close to putting the interior back together, but I think first I just want to get everything in the engine bay sorted. I'm going to write a list. We're going to treat this like a job from here on in. So I'll have a list of things to do and we'll just start ticking them off so we can get it home and work on all the little bits and pieces. Okay, so we're just starting to put stuff back together. I've got the starter motor back in. It's a bit fiddly, but it all went in fine. Something that you guys are going to want to know, if you look down in there, the power steering, that banjo bolt, you need to keep the one off the 105, so I'm actually going to have to order one because I didn't do that. So you can keep the 100 series power steering lines with the sensor. I didn't do that. I used the 105 ones because they were in way better condition and on the chassis already. And the reason you need the banjo bolt, this is the 100 series one. So the sensor's actually integrated into the banjo, which makes it quite a bit thicker. So because the 105 one's a lot thinner here, it doesn't work with that banjo bolt. So I've ordered that, and now it's just continue on with ticking bits and pieces off the list. I'm going to order 105 radiator hoses, upper and lower today. I'm going to buy a 105 radiator, just start fresh, go brand new. This side of the car now, besides that banjo bolt, is all back together. So I'll start having a look around here. I did start plugging things back in. Got a couple little bits and pieces. There's an earth that was on the 100 that I've got to find a home for because it used to bolt onto the 100 series leg. I've got a coolant pipe at the back there. I can't remember what that went to, so I've just got to figure out where that went. And then it's sort of getting to the fun stuff. I think we'll put the intake stuff all back together, and then I'll start mounting the front mount. Yeah, and then we get to like headlights, grille, front end. And I'll probably start, I think I'll jump into the interior. I've pulled the handbrake cable through, so we might start mounting up the handbrake, the gear selector, start getting the interior back together a little bit more, put a couple hours in here. And that will probably do it for today, because I'll have a good shopping list of things I need to keep going. Hey, first day back on the cruiser after a break, and we got a fair bit done. So I've got my list now so that we can't lose track. I've had another go at the steering, and it's clearing quite a bit better. It's not rubbing anymore, so I'm happy with that. There's a coolant line up the back there. That's all hooked up now. The starter motor is back in, so it's tucked right down in there. We've got all that hooked up. I'm happy with how that's looking. The body mounts have all been done up. So I just dropped all the bolts through, but I hadn't done the nuts up. So now, have a look under here. That there, they're all bolted up with washers on them nicely. I undid some of the spaghetti where the shifter is. Got everything plugged back in. Shifter is actually connected back to the gearbox. Handbrake is hooked up. So you can see in here, I've still got all the interior stuff lying around, but it's just a lot of fiddly bits and pieces now. So that's gonna do it for today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and push on with it. This will most likely be the end of this episode. Just because I haven't put one out for a while, I figured it's time for me to give you guys a good update. So thanks as always for watching. If you're not subscribed, get onto it. We'll have this thing out on the tracks in absolutely no time. See you later.